Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Well, welcome to Getting to Know You. My name is Joe Nash. Today we're going to be talking about theater, and specifically Albany Civic Theater and community theater in general. But we have with us Tom King, the president of Albany Civic, his wife Carol King, artistic director, Katie Weinberg, one of the actors, or should I say actress? I don't know.
Either one.
Before we talk about your Albany Civic and your season, could you give us a little capsule history? I know it's been around for over 50 years, which I did not know, but can you just give us the short history of Albany Civic, if you can?
Who can do that best? Well, 54 years ago or so, there was a theater group in Albany that dissolved. It went out of business, and some people that were associated with it, and I think a group from Troy got together and decided they wanted to organize Albany Civic Theater. And it was originally housed in the second floor of a printing shop down in downtown Albany, Capital Press Printing, where the guy that ran the printing shop, the owner of the printing shop, was also active in the theater. And so that's where they started out. And when Nelson Rockefeller, the governor at the time, decided he wanted to build the South Mall, we lost our space down there and didn't have a space. And a couple of the representatives of the theater went to the Mayor Corning at the time and told him of our plight, and he suggested we look at a firehouse, a vacant firehouse that was a part of the Albany Fire Department on 2nd Avenue.
Were you involved then?
No, 54 years ago. No, I'm not that old. No, and so the group of the ACT group went up and looked at the firehouse and thought, we'll never be able to make a theater out of this place. But one of the people that was in the group knew a theatrical architect from New York City, and they got him to come up and look at it, and he made some suggestions on how it could be done, and they went ahead and they built the stage, and they closed some windows, and they closed the door that the trucks roared out of, and
No, I've been there. It's a nice little
Yeah.
theater.
Yeah.
And there we have been for the last,
1964.
1962 or
Right.
63 or 64. I don't recall what it was. Yeah.
And how many this season you're doing 4 plays. How many do you usually do? 4?
We do 4 a year, 4 main stage shows a year, but we also do a director's workshop, a playwright's workshop, a family type weekend.
Okay.
So we do many, many, many performances, and we also have a free night for each of our 4 main stage performances where people can come for free.
Is that the pay what you will preview?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
This is, yes.
Well, I'll tell people it's albanyscivictheater.org, and there's all kinds of stuff on there with their schedule and prices and all that. But before we talk about some of these other things, what I wanted to ask about community theater in general, there's over 10,000 community theaters in America? Is there
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Probably more. So I guess for community theater, when you think of all that's involved in putting on a play, actors, rehearsals, lighting, costume, tickets, the theater, actually having a theater. Some places don't have theater, but a space. It sounds like totally insane and nuts. So why would, and you've been involved in community theater for a long time, why do it? Maybe you could each talk as artistic director, as president, as one of the actors, but why be involved in this sort of crazy endeavor? I don't know.
Well, the root of the word amateur is Latin for love. We do it because we absolutely love to do it.
Oh, well, I should have said most people don't get paid and they have full-time jobs besides all that. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. But we do it because we love it. It is an artistic outlet. As you might imagine, it's a full-time job in and of itself.
Besides,
whether you're
yes.
acting, directing, working in the box office. Katie works as our box office chair. So it's really a full-time job. But we have great love for this work, and that's why I do it.
So Tom, what about?
Well, I share some of Carol's same reasons, and I find it a challenge to make to keep the theater going, and it's a challenge that you want to rise up to. We have a large number of people who have been coming to Albany Civic Theater for years and years and years. They love to come to the theater. They love what we're doing, and there's something in your heart that you give out to the community. Carol mentioned the director showcase and the playwright showcase and the family weekend that we do. Those are all free for the community, for the people that live around the theater. We have opened the eyes of hundreds of thousands of people who have come and said, "Gee, we never realized that you were here. We didn't know what you did. We think it's wonderful. We're going to come again." So, you get a certain sense of satisfaction out of doing that.
Does it make people want to see more theater at any different levels of community?
I think it does that. And it not only does that, but it wants them to feel like they want to become involved. They want to do costumes. They want to come and work on the sets when we're building the sets. They want to do publicity.
Well, I know you have, if you look on the website, there's plenty of opportunities for volunteers if anyone wants to get involved. So Katie, as an actor, or as an actress. I don't know.
And director.
And director, and box office, and probably a million other things. Why, being in community theater, you're not getting paid, what brought you to this?
Well,
Acting in general and maybe Albany Civic.
Well, I've acted my whole life. I went to college for it. And when I moved to Albany, I emailed a bunch of local theaters, and they were the first people that got back to me about being on stage crew. So I immediately got back to them, and so I started volunteering about a month after I moved here. And they've, Albany Civic is such a welcoming kind of place. Like, anybody who wants to volunteer, please come down, because we will greet you with open arms in any capacity that you want to volunteer, whether it be an actor, set construction, anything. We're all very welcoming there. So I think sort of that atmosphere is what's sort of kept me there. And like Carol said, it's just a great outlet. I mean, acting and being a part of theater is it's just one of the great joys, I think of our lives, and of anybody who comes to theater, anybody who supports the arts. It's just a great joy. It's just a great fun thing to have in their lives.
Now, were you at your college? Were you an act? Were you trained as an actress?
I was a drama major, and I went to Ithaca College, but I did a lot of not main stage stuff there, but a lot of student-run theater things there.
Now, do you ultimately have goals to become a professional actress? Or?
Well, I don't know. That seems kind of like, woo. But I hope to, in some capacity, have theater be a part of my life for the rest of my life. If it doesn't provide my living, if I still have to have a day job, that'll be okay. But I foresee it being a part of my life forever.
And now your day job obviously is not involved in theater.
No, I work at a nonprofit law firm, actually.
There's probably a lot of drama there.
I'm sure. Yes, of course.
Let's see. One thing before we talk about your season, what would the job of, say, artistic director? What is the job of the, or how do you pick a play? Maybe that'd be something a bit easier to talk about.
Well, we have a play selection committee. I appoint a play selection chair every season, and the chair chooses a committee according to our bylaws, and we send out invitations to various directors in the area, and that is one of the reasons, incidentally, that we have the Director Showcase. Katie did a Director Showcase 2 years ago, and then this season she was invited to direct.
What is direct?
Director Showcase is where a director puts on a one-act play, basically without any support.
Original plays, or could they be scenes from major?
They could be scenes from other plays, from full-length plays, or they could be one-act plays.
And it's basically to show if someone can direct? Is that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
To see how someone communicates with actors, to see how someone moves people on the stage, so on and so forth. Anyway, so Katie was invited to direct this year in a main stage production, and she was chosen by the play selection committee. And people submit any number of plays. We also have a form in the lobby, and people list what plays they'd like to see. So we choose from that.
Do you have to
that's one area that we can choose from, and then when directors submit plays, we read the plays, and then we choose the play and the director.
How often would you do something original, say, or not?
We really don't.
That's the playwright
do
showcase.
Original plays. We do a playwright showcase each year, and that is where we invite playwrights, area playwrights, local playwrights to come in to submit their original plays, and we will present that as a staged reading. It's another free
Are these usually
theater.
local people?
Mm-hmm.
These are local people, right? And then we have an audience who is invited to talk to the playwright about what they liked, what they weren't sure of, what they didn't understand.
So director showcase and the playwright, these are all free events that people can come to?
Yes,
Okay.
and the community participates.
And I think these are in June and July?
Yep.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
so it's on the website, albanyscivictheater.org. People can-
Yes.
But as far as picking a play, do you sort of have to know who you might have involved to pick the play, or do you just try to pick something and then get the actors? I mean,
Well, we have auditions.
if you have,
Yeah.
do you have a
Open
stable of
auditions.
regulars, kind of, that
A playwright or director? you mean?
of actors?
Well, we have people that come back,
Oh, okay.
but everybody is. Something you really need to know is that we invite everybody to come and try out for the
Okay.
parts in the play.
But you don't think of a play first because you know so and so would be really
No.
okay.
I mean, a director might submit a play hoping that if it gets selected, they will be able to ask certain people to audition. But in terms of what the play selection committee does, we select plays based on, if it will be good for the theater.
Okay.
Like if it will, benefit the theater.
Okay. So you have a committee, and then you.
And the committee begins reading plays, and usually by March we have a slate of plays. We present it to the board of directors, and the board of directors says yay or nay to the slate, and that's
take it from
usually
there.
how our season is chosen.
Well, how did, as an example, I guess, you're coming up in February, A Man for All Seasons. Now, how was that chosen? Just people thought it was.
That was, I submitted that, and I think we knew that the subject material was something that our clientele, our patrons enjoy. It was a play that I knew something about, and we do ask the directors to make a case. It was a play I knew something about. I had taught Shakespeare at the college level, so I knew something about the Renaissance. It was about people. I knew something about the Tudor dynasty. And I've directed several plays with very large casts at Albany Civic Theater, and so the play selection committee felt that I could accommodate this very large cast, 14 people. And so I think that's why they chose, and we knew that it was a popular title from our audience surveys. We knew it was a very popular title.
That could be something as a suggestion.
Yes.
Certainly.
Well, geez, it sounds, and no one gets paid for all this. It sounds really, you're very devoted.
Yeah, a couple of times, Carol and Katie have mentioned the audience surveys. We have a survey form that we ask people that come and see our plays to fill out. And we ask them how they found out about the theater, how they found out about the play, and then we ask them, what other plays would you like to see us do? So that works into the whole play selection.
Do they ever
process.
put in something that, are you willing to sort of try almost anything, or is it?
Well, we
willing-
tried
Within
Keely
reason.
and Do.
Within reason.
We did Keely and Do, and that's
Yeah, we had some protest over Keely.
Well, your last play was
because-
called Keely and Do, and
Yes.
it was dealt with abortion.
Yep.
And you had actually protesters at the.
No, not actual protesters,
but-
but I mean, people did, raise concern about that we would like lose subscribers maybe or lose patrons, which we didn't lose subscribers at all.
No.
Who, you know, our subscriber base is still very much there, even with this controversial show. It wasn't the, you know, the box office success that, you know, an Agatha Christie mystery would be, but I think it's important to have this sort of cutting edge play in there.
It was very well reviewed
Yes,
in,
it was.
in the Times.
Yes, it was very well reviewed.
Someone working here saw it, said it was very good. So, all right. Well, why don't we talk about your upcoming season? You have 2 plays left:
Yes.
Man for All Seasons in February and Hot L Baltimore in May. So I notice on your that's quite a range there. You got a classic play and sort of a more modern. What can you tell us about these 2 plays that are upcoming?
Well, as I said, Man for All Seasons is about, it involves a man, Henry VIII, who made himself an absolute ruler. It was about a society that wasn't terribly fastidious about its human rights. It tortured people. It put people in prison without a trial.
Are you trying to make some comparisons to modern?
No.
Well, a couple of years ago, we did the Andersonville trial, which at the time dealt with a subject that was right on the front of the newspaper.
It is. That's, you know, before we're talking about theater, that is pretty amazing. You can see a play even hundreds of years old that is very relevant.
Absolutely.
You know, to
Yes.
today. It's always pretty
Absolutely.
amazing when you
Yes.
when you see that. And Hot L Baltimore obviously is a classic comedy. Is
It's
it?
a very dark comedy.
Yeah.
Very dark is that from the 70s?
Yes.
I think so.
Now, are you in any of these, Katie? Are you?
I'm in A Man for All Seasons.
Oh, okay.
I play Margaret Moore, who is the daughter of the man who is sort of opposing Henry VIII,
Okay.
being.
He's opposing his his divorce of Catherine of Aragon and his marriage to Anne Boleyn. And it's the back and forth mainly between Henry and Henry's people and Thomas More, and Sir Thomas More. And Katie plays his daughter,
Okay.
Moore's daughter.
Now, how far ahead? This play starts on February 13th, but today is what, December 9th or 10th?
9th.
I don't know. But how far ahead? Have you started rehearsals for this
Oh,
already?
yeah.
So that's
Yes.
that's 2 months ahead. So.
Well, don't forget, we have a winter.
That's-
We have winter holidays.
Right.
All sorts of
Okay.
winter holidays. So we started about 2 weeks
2 weeks
ago.
ago.
Now, is that a normal thing? You start a couple months ahead?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
As soon as we can.
Whenever I go to a community theater, I always feel you do 7 or 8 performances. It seems like so much work but you've already expressed your love for doing this. But could I ask each of you, since you've been involved with theater many years, Katie's still young, but obviously you said you want to be involved. What do you think? What's the magic of theater? Do you think that you could express, if it's expressible? I don't know.
I think just seeing a live performance and that connection between the actors on stage and the audience. I mean, to me, it's not theater if there's not an audience.
I mean, whether it's something funny or sad or...
Yeah, I just think and every single person in the audience can have a different interpretation, a different reaction to the exact same thing that's going on in front of them. And every single night, you said there's like 9 performances. That's what we have for our shows, and every single show is different. Every single one, which I think is just the beauty of it.
Well, I know.
It's never the same.
Last summer, I was in Peterborough, New Hampshire, the Peterborough Players, and they did the play Doubt. It's coming out as a
yeah.
movie.
Oh yes.
And it was funny. I think half the people thought one way of it. I don't want to give it away if people don't know, but if half the people thought one way about the character, the other half were saying, no. And so that seems to be a success if people can talk like that. Well, Tom, what about you? You've obviously been involved in theater a long, long time, but what would you say about, what is it about theater that's so magical that...
Well, I think Katie pretty much nailed it. Every audience has a character all of its own, and you see it respond to what's going on stage in a different way, and you can actually feel the audience's, back and forth or reaction, silent as it might be. In Keely & Do, the audience was absolutely mesmerized and still as stone on what was going on stage. And it just gave me chills to get that feeling that the audience had in response to the actors. It's just incredible.
I know. I mean, I go to theater a lot too, and you're right. I always tell people one of my favorite feelings is right before a show starts and the lights go down. That couple seconds, right when the lights go down, I'm like, that is my.
Yeah.
I feel like you're right in heaven then. But
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
mentioned a couple of years ago we did Andersonville, and we had some reenactors, Civil War reenactors, in that production. They didn't have lines, most of them. They were just on stage. A few of them had lines, and I was amazed that these are middle-aged men and women.
they reenact battles of.
Yes, yes. Had never ever been to a live theater performance.
They'd never seen a play.
They'd never seen a play. And I still run into people who have never seen a play, and I'm just absolutely amazed. And it's so good to see the reaction of a first-timer coming out of the performance and what they saw and how incredulous they are as to what went
I
on.
know, it's hard to believe people would have never seen a
Yes,
play.
it's hard
Yeah.
to believe.
But Carol, would you want to add something about
Well,
the magic of theater?
there is so much competition for attention, today particularly, because people have obviously the internet, television, movies. There's just so much DVD. You have Netflix, and it would be so easy to stay home and pop in a DVD and just sit on your couch and watch that. But there is a certain excitement, and
Well, it's a communal sort of experience.
each audience is a community in and of itself, and it has certain responses. And there is such an excitement about knowing that these people are going to be doing this, performing live. And I also am a theater critic for the Daily Gazette. And people have said to me that how can you be fair? I mean, you're so invested in Albany Civic Theater. Okay, so maybe you'll go to Schenectady Civic or Schenectady Light Opera or any of the local theaters. How can you be fair? Don't you want to give them all bad reviews? And I think every time I strike a blow for live theater, I make a difference, because every time I give, say, Schenectady Light Opera or Schenectady Civic Theater a rave review, I'm striking a blow for Albany Civic Theater as well. I'm striking a blow for live theater, for people to bother to come out and find a parking space, get your nice clothes on, go out and watch live theater. Because, and the reason I do that, I feel that way, is because there is an elation involved in seeing a live show. There is an energy connected to seeing live theater.
I know. Well, this summer I saw Hamlet for the first time, and I was telling someone, a guy who teaches up at Skidmore, and he's like, "Oh, it was your first Hamlet," he was just saying, like, the way he said it was like, "Oh, it's an experience everyone has to have or something."
Oh, yeah.
But so it's reviews, in the real world, the professional world. I mean, I guess reviews can make or break a play. I don't know if it's the same on this level. Or community theater
I don't
level.
think it is. I don't think it is, because, as Katie said, we have subscribers who will generally come to see us, even if a reviewer, like, say, a Michael Eck or somebody like that, says, "Oh, don't bother to see this play." They'll probably our
Oh, yeah. The subscribers,
will
yeah.
always come because they're our biggest fans.
Yeah.
How many subscribers do you have?
Oh, jeez. You would ask that, wouldn't you?
I mean, do you have hundreds of people or?
I would say maybe a little less than 100, maybe, something like that.
Well, for people watching, you can join the Albany at different levels, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Yeah, you can become a member of Albany Civic Theater. There's 4 different levels of giving.
And then does that come with tickets to all 4 plays of the year, or is that part
That's
of that?
just membership. Subscription is different than
Okay.
membership. Subscription, you get to see all 4 shows for the price of 3.
Oh, okay.
So it would be $45 to see all 4 shows. instead of 60 to come to each one individually. And if you want to become a member, you can give either $10, $25, $50, or $100, and there's 4 different levels of giving. Become a member.
Are you on the membership committee too, besides everything else?
There's no membership committee, but it does have to do with the box office, so of course I'm involved in that.
Well, I guess, see, this is going way faster than I thought, but how do you, can you just give us a typical example? Say you're going to do Man for All Seasons, which is coming up in February. What are the steps involved of, say, going from announcing we're going to do Man for All Seasons to opening night on, was it February 13th? I think.
Thank you.
What would the steps be involved in getting the whole thing together? You're the artistic director.
The first step, well, Tom is producing Man for All Seasons for me. But the first step is to hold the auditions, and
actually, the first step is finding somebody who will do your set for you.
Finding your designers.
Finding your designers.
Okay. And again,
you want your
lighting designer.
And these are all volunteer people also.
Costume person. Okay. And then you go to the auditions, and then you start.
So you already have a sense of how it might look before you even get the actors in.
Yeah. We have an architect and another person doing the design, and they've already got sketches, and they've already been down at the theater, and they're looking at the pieces, and
so
they've showed Carol what their proposed design is, so that she can.
So that I can block the play.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And blocking would be the next step.
But just quickly though, what is each play? Would you have a different scenic designer for? It's always different. Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's whoever the director.
It's usually the director that finds, that has a favorite.
So, and as a producer, was that your job to try and bring all this together?
Well, I think really Carol got the set designer.
All right, so then you have that all in place, and then you have what, auditions for that's all.
Yes, and you do have favorite people that you work with, favorite designers, people who have come through for you before. So, yes, the auditions. You pick your cast. You pick your assistant director. Of course, I picked my assistant director before I picked the play, I think. She's a lovely lady that I've worked with before, and she's very efficient. She will come up with a cast list, and then we'll start. I have to come up with a schedule, working around people's conflicts.
It's the same with everyone who has full-time jobs. It must be.
It's tough, but you do it, and it always somehow seems to work out. And then we will have. My costume designer has already been in. She knows who the people are. She's familiar with some of the actors. Some of the actors she will have to measure. Others she already has measurements on. She will come in and pull some costumes. We might have to rent some costumes, borrow some costumes. And then, and of course, our lighting designer is already on the case. He has some wonderful ideas.
Our sound designer, too.
Our sound designer is on board, Dan Stott,
And again, I hate to keep harping on this, but these are all volunteers.
These are all volunteers.
And how much is the ticket price?
$15.
$15. Well, I mean, that's.
We're one of the best bargains in town.
Yes, we are.
Oh.
Anyway, then we will have a photo shoot. Tom arranges for that with Tom Killips, who is our photographer, and he will do photos, which we will send out to the newspapers and to the various venues around town, and we'll, Chaz Treadwell is our public relations person, and he will try to get us as many spots to talk about our play as he can. This is one of them.
Do they always get reviewed?
Yes.
More often than not, they do. Yes.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you guys have been around for 50 years. I would think. They probably would do that.
Yes.
Well, in relation to the reviews, one of the problems is newspapers are having a financial hard time, and so they're reviewing less and less, unfortunately.
Oh, they're doing less and less of everything.
Yeah.
One thing before I forget, I want to mention to the viewers, there's a website called cap-dist, D-I-S-T, auditions.com, and if you go to that site and sign up, you will receive an email notification of every single audition that's held at all the community
Capital
theaters
District.
Yep.
in the Capital District.
And how many are there in our area? I know.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
Really? I mean, I'm thinking as
I
you
mean,
guys.
what's our area, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of Capital District.
Yeah,
Oh,
tons.
20 or
20.
30.
You don't think there's that much theater out there, do you?
Oh,
Try to.
there's so
there-
much.
there
There is. There is.
Well, thank you for sharing your love of theater with us, and we really appreciate it. We're going to have you back. I mean, this has been great. So I'll just tell people it's albanyscivictheater.org. It's got schedules. You can volunteer, you can join, you can be in a play if you want. And Man for All Seasons comes up in February, and Hot L Baltimore in May, and you have the free things in June and July. Directors Showcase,
Yep. and
Playwright Showcase.
Playwright Showcase, and
Children, Family Theater Weekend.
Family Theater Weekend. So thank you so much for coming, and we'll hopefully see you again.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Oh, well, thanks for being here on Getting to Know You. We'll see you next time.